Xerox officially splitting its businesses into two with the spin-off of Conduit yesterday. Joining us this morning, first on CNBC, is the new CEO of Xerox, Jeff Jacobson, who joins us this morning at Post 9. Welcome. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
What a day yesterday. And now the question turns to revenue and when that begins to turn.
Sure.
So how far out do you think that's going to be?
So what we've done is we've laid out at our December 7th Investor Conference just a month ago a strategy for 3 years. And basically we play in an $85 billion market. What we do is we develop digital print technologies and manage document services for the largest corporate enterprises in the world, government agencies, school systems, the SMB market, which is a very big market for us, as well as graphic communications providers. So if you look at our almost $11 billion in revenues, about 1/3 of that, or $3.5 billion, is all about managed document services. Because the big corporate enterprises, they don't want to have to manage their documents from communication all the way through. How do they interface with the cloud in an integrated manner? How can they translate into 35 different languages? How can they have security? They want to depend upon us for that so that they can focus on their core competencies.
Right. So when do declining revenues end, and how many more jobs need to be cut?
Yeah, so it's not about that at all, Carl. What it's about is productivity. So if you look at it now, we're taking the word corporate out of our lingo, out of our language at Xerox. This is going to be a company where from the CEO throughout the entire organization, we're embedded in the organization with our customers. We're in the front line. We had 140 customers here with us today at the bell ringing. And this is all about how do we provide the best customer service, drive productivity. If you look at some of our productivity actions, it's how do we provide remote connectivity so that we don't have to send a service technician there, but we're interfacing with the customer's device from a security standpoint. How do we drive productivity in our manufacturing operation, supply chain? That's what we're really looking at.
Jeff, I'm trying to figure out how to balance what you're going to do. For instance, you have 10% share of the overall document technology market, which is good, but you could obviously make some acquisitions, boost that. But you're also very committed to capital return. To the point where I think that because you have a little bit of money from Conduit, you can actually return some of the shareholders in a very aggressive fashion. Which is a better way to allocate that?
Yeah, so we have a capital allocation plan, so we have a very strong dividend. If you look at the dividend we've announced, basically it's a little under 4%. So if you were to say in the S&P 500, you're one of the top 20% dividend-bearing companies, and that was very important to us. What we want to make sure that we're doing is that we have a sustainable model. So we had a good day yesterday, and I think what that meant is that the investors that we've spoken to, and right after our investor conference last month, we spoke to another 50 investors, and we rolled out our strategy with them. And basically what they're looking for is long-term sustainability, which is what we're looking at. We're not trying to measure ourselves in 1 day or 1 week or 1 month. So return to capital to shareholders is very important in driving margin expansion. So we've also laid out a plan. We're going to have margin expansion of 12.5% to 14.5%.
There have been talk that R. Donnelley had come and tried to buy you beforehand. The better opportunity to be able to make more money standalone?
You know, we believe very much, and it's the reason we separated. By separating, we really believe that we are unlocking the value for our shareholders, and hopefully yesterday was an early indication that the shareholders and the investor population has bought into our strategy. They understand this is not a 2017 strategy. We're coming out in the middle of 2017 with the largest product launch in the history of Xerox, 29 new products. For a 110-year-old company, that's a pretty substantial statement to be able to make.
Right. Although in speaking to a couple of those investors yesterday, it's not clear to me they weren't buying your stock in part because they think you will be part of a larger enterprise at some point. Carl Icahn owns 10% of Xerox. Darwin Deason's a big owner. And it's a scale business. And to your point, you're a pure play now. You have a joint venture with Fuji people keep wanting to bring up to me. This idea that, in fact, you will sell the company. You say no?
So the plan we've laid out, and you mentioned Icahn Capital. Icahn Capital owns a little under 10% of our company. Of our 11 members on the board of directors, they have 1 seat.
Right, John.
We've worked very closely with our entire board of directors on this strategy. It was a strategy that we spent a lot of time on from a capital return standpoint. How do we continue to lead in this $85 billion market? We've been the equipment share revenue market leader for the last 7 years, 28 straight quarters. We've got a 75% annuity business, which is very cash generative, so that we can provide the dividend yield that provides a great deal of stability. But what we're doing is we're targeting those growth areas in this market. And print today is not just about print on paper. It's about, we print electronic circuits. You know, we still have 12,000 patents. We are still one of the top 20 patent producing companies in the world. We have 5,000 scientists. And as a matter of fact, we've taken our CEO Palo Alto Research Center and we've put all research and development engineering under him, reporting directly to me so that we can expedite the commercialization process.
Any final thoughts on the business environment that Trump's bringing in?
Well, so obviously I think the market has certainly responded very favorably. You know, I think as I've heard from watching your shows, we're expecting tax reform, we're expecting regulation reform or regulatory reform. What's important to a business like ours that's a U.S.-based business competing globally is just that we're able to compete on an equal basis in the countries that we
Does it help having a Carl Icahn own 10%? I mention that simply because he is an advisor to the Trump administration, certainly knows a lot about what's going on. Is that a help or a hindrance or anything?
Icahn Capital owns 10% or a little under 10%. They have one seat on the board. We work very closely with the board members. We work with all of our board members, and we love to associate ourselves with smart people.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Jeff Jacobson joining us here from Xerox. We'll get started.